So I'm now the chairman of Revolt with a pathway. You see, because he wants to trigger me, and I want you to acknowledge that. So I'm now Cam's boss.
Let y'all know I got 3 bricks in the car, but I'll wear it. Cam started crying, man.
So let me say it. Tomorrow, I'm dropping a diss record for 50. Yeah, right. He's capping. So I'm, I talk a different language than most people. I'm a boss. So number one, there is no rights to be bought. So I knew he was trolling. And you got to remember, Cam tried to have my son come on. Well, let me ask you this. Do you think messing with people's children is all right?
Dame Dash storms into the Breakfast Club and throws the whole room into chaos. He boldly claims he's the new chairman of Revolt, then fires shots at Camron and swears a diss track is coming.
Do you remember 50 saying that he had a documentary about Puff with Netflix?
Yeah.
It was highly promoted. So I know he be capping. There's no rights to buy from Paid in Full. The thing there is I was there.
But he doesn't stop there. Minutes later on Art of Dialogue, Dame pulls out a story sharp enough to slice Harlem pride wide open. He paints a picture of one wild night with Big L and a car stuffed with bricks. Whether you believe him or not, Dame just cracked the internet in half. He's calling it Revolt Paid in Full while crowning himself Harlem's godfather. And tonight, we're piecing together every explosive claim and every clapback.
This gets played tomorrow, so the announcement will be in the trades tomorrow. So I've been trying to buy Revolt, and I also just did a 25 episode deal for my podcast for Bosses Take Losses.
From Dame's bankrupt moves to Cam's counterattacks with Mace in his corner, down to the raw truth about who's really pulling the strings, this is the real Harlem chessboard, and the stakes are deadly serious.
Look for my Paid in Full, the real story from people that actually did it in Harlem. And it will be on Revolt. And if things go the way I want, I should be closing, or I should be able to have this pathway to acquire. But until then, you'll see all my content. Next week, you'll see Bosses Take Losses on Revolt. Now I'm hustling on his block. I'm now Cam's boss.
Here's the spark that lit it all up. Just a week before Dame's interview, 50 Cent dropped a bombshell. He announced he bought the rights to Paid in Full and was making it a series, with Camron locked in as executive producer. Hip-hop blogs exploded and Harlem streets buzzed with pride. But to Dame, this wasn't just business. It was a straight-up robbery of his legacy. The classic Harlem story he helped create was about to be retold by his rivals. And if he truly controls the rights, that means Dame's voice, his Harlem history, gets muted in his own legend. But Dame fires back, swearing that's a flat-out lie.
So I was like, I think I can get out of this, but I'm just letting y'all know I got 3 bricks in the car, but I'll wear it.
According to him, there are no rights to even buy because the story he lived through doesn't belong to any catalog or contract. It's blood, sweat, and Harlem streets. It can't be bought at a checkout counter.
Cam is Fredo. He's Cameo. That's his new name to me. He's Cameo. And to me, Cam going up against me is like Fredo going up against Michael Corleone.
But Dame doesn't stop at paperwork. He flips the beef into family territory, accusing Cam's circle of dragging his son into this war. This ain't just business. This is bloodline warfare. In Harlem, the streets and the boardroom overlap so tight that one slick move can spark a feud that burns for generations. Dame's point cuts deeper than contracts. It's all about power.
Cam started crying, man.
If no one can actually own a neatly packaged Paid in Full story, then 50's so-called big announcement wasn't a real deed transfer. It was just showbiz smoke dressed up as a headline. Dame throws the hard questions at the table. Who exactly did 50 buy it from? Where's the industry notice? Because in Hollywood, if a deal is real, Deadline gets the scoop before Instagram ever sees the confetti. Still, the noise was deafening. On September 9th, 2025, Revolt's site flat out claimed 50 Cent now owns the Paid in Full rights and is producing a TV series with Camron as executive producer. Less than 24 hours later, iHeart's Breakfast Club blog doubled down and even clowned Dame, quoting his sarcastic jab about being the new boss.
And then all of a sudden, he hit the 5 families in one day. He waited for his mother to die, asked his little brother to come to the lake house and popped him. I watched that movie. I like the way the Godfather moved.
So So, was it all premature hype or a legit passing of the crown? Doesn't matter. Once fans believe a throne has shifted, it might as well be gone unless you drag the story back with cold, hard receipts. And that's the gamble Dame is making. If there's real paperwork, cool, but if not, then 50 and Cam are just hustling illusions, selling Harlem a bag of smoke. See, the first chapter of this war isn't about who's tougher in the streets, it's about who can scream ownership the loudest in front of the culture. Dame spins it like sovereignty, not ego. If Cam signed up to serve another man's vision, Dame flips it with Harlem steel. Nobody owns what they never created. And that line, it rings out heavy, both on the block and online, painting Dame as the hustler who refuses to be erased from the very script he helped write.
He played broke, and then he killed the 5 families. So if you notice, I got up there with a patch like Ace. I wanted to look weak. I wore an extra big shirt so I looked fat. You understand what I wanted y'all to bomb on me because I knew all these announcements were coming. If anybody else makes an announcement, they're great. But if Dame Dash, it's a little thing. Oh, you're not the chairman. Like, I am. I'm about to buy this shit. You understand what I'm saying? I don't play. I've been trying to buy Revolt for 2 years.
Now Dame takes the smoke way past paid in full. He walks straight into Camron's living room and plants his flag. If Cam linked up with 50 for the series, Dame flips the tables and declares himself sitting above Cam, both on TV and in real life. The flex? Cold, simple, and brutal. He's claiming the throne right over Harlem's own.
So the bottom line is I filed because I was going to pay the government, but when you owe $20 million, you can't pay $20 million from a job.
And he doesn't just say it once. Dame doubles down, announcing his own show, Bosses Take Losses, is set to air on Revolt. Then he teases a pathway to acquire the whole platform. That's the master plan you can hear in his voice. Own the very stage that beams the message, then use it to crown yourself king in front of the culture.
The government wasn't tripping because that's what I was trying to do. Because every dollar that I put into business and pay people, they're paying taxes on that money. So they getting their money. They wasn't bothering me. But this dude was messing with the family office and I can't have that. So that's why I filed, so I can make these announcements and he can't call Paramount or Simon Schuster and hit me with any more lawsuits because each one of these lawsuits cost at least, $160,000, $200,000. Just every time he would file in another place, it would cost me a certain amount of money to fight it.
Sounds airtight, right? Except the press doesn't line up so neat. Billboard claimed Vibe confirmed Dame as interim chairman, while Vibe's own coverage hyped up the announcement. At the exact same time, All Hip Hop blasted the CEO's denial. Then OK Player and Hot New Hip Hop cited co-host Lauren L.A. saying Revolt's PR team shut the whole thing down. By now, aggregation sites were circling the question like sharks. Is he or isn't he?
I have no debt. So if a billionaire has $150 million of debt and I have none, I got more money. I have no debt. Now, this is what happens. And people wonder, and this is why I got out the music business. The only way to really, because that's how they keep controlling you, by giving you more money. The more money they give you, the more control they have over you. So somebody gives you $150 million, you have to do whatever they tell you to do until you work that off and you lose all your power. I don't want that debt. I don't care. You're not going to loan me $200 million to do a company that's probably not going to work out so that you could tell me what to do for a certain amount of years. That's what independence is. Real power is having your own money, not other people's money.
Even Soap Central, the soap opera blogs, jumped in, quoting Revolt's CEO clarifying the situation. So where does that leave us? Same place Harlem beefs always live. In the middle of claim versus counterclaim, where the one with the receipts walks away as king. Dame swears he's got those receipts. He even posted text messages hinting at a clear pathway to power. But a pathway ain't a contract, and Harlem knows the difference. Our job isn't to play favorites, it's to line up the receipts and watch who blinks first. If Dame's telling the truth, Cam just woke up with a boss over his shoulder. If he's bluffing, then he just tried to Big Brother a Harlem icon with a mic check his pockets can't cash. Now rewind to the part that froze the internet mid-scroll. Dame's delivery dips for just a heartbeat, like he's sharpening the blade, and then he swings the haymaker. Cam cried. Whether you chalk that up to a teenage slip or stamp it as a permanent stain depends on how you grade Harlem legends. But Dame's aim is crystal clear. He wants the culture to link composure with kingship and tears with exile. If Cam really broke down in that car, it doesn't erase his decades of music or grind. But in Harlem's storytelling code, one tiny crack can stick to your name forever.
I don't have no debt. Now, the family office pays their taxes. And I'm not even allowed to talk about the family office. I signed the NDA without permission. But I think I know the owner, so I should be all right, I hope. But the family office might have just paid $500,000-$600,000 worth of taxes.
And don't forget the setup. Before this punch, Dame already laid groundwork. He said he never hustled with Cam, questioned if Cam ever touched real street corners, and used that checkpoint night as his exhibit A.
Can I finish? A diss record for 50 and Cam by Nicolette. Y'all can hear I'm gonna play it for you before we leave.
He isn't just reminiscing, he's stacking character evidence. He's building a Harlem case file that says Cam never had the heart to carry the weight. If Cam and Mace want to shut this down, they can't just laugh off Dame's chairman talk or clown the Revolt drama. They've got to rip this memory apart, brick by brick, challenge the timeline, the location, the witnesses, everything. Because as long as this story stands unshaken, Dame's got a street credential to pair with his boardroom boast. Put it together. The checkpoint, the 3 bricks, the alleged tears, and Dame gets a clean through line. I stood tall when it counted, and that's why I never hustled with Cam. He isn't begging you to like him. He's daring Harlem to grade resumes by the ugliest, rawest moments, not the shiny lights and hit records. And if the culture accepts that grading scale, then Dame's Harlem scorecard suddenly makes perfect sense, which flips the heat right back on Cam and Mace. Either flip the scale or flip the story before it brands you forever. Dame won't let go of The Godfather, not just as a movie metaphor, but as his personal playbook. He swears he studies it, whole sequences, and brags about following the Corleone script. Play weak, eat the insults, then press a button and take out 5 families in one strike. Dramatic? Absolutely. But it's also his explanation for why he pulled up wearing a patch, a baggy shirt, and bait for the room. He wanted the hosts and the internet to underestimate him, so when he dropped bombs, they'd land 10 times harder.
Hey you guys, I'm Nikki Licky, and this is Checkmate, a diss track to 50 Cent and Camron.
And if you really listen, this ain't just cosplay, it's strategy. He's mapping every move to a mobster scene. His chairman claim, that's the opening act. Premiering edited cuts from his docuseries, Scene 2, teasing a diss track while funneling content to a platform he swears he's about to acquire, that's the montage. Every piece is staged to make him look like Destiny, Harlem's inevitable boss. That's why he keeps throwing around promises like poker chips. Trades tomorrow, 25 episodes, bosses take losses next week. To Dame, it's not debate, it's momentum. Flood the timeline with cliffhangers until the crowd assumes the ending is already written. But here's the crack in his script. Michael Corleone didn't just posture, he closed loops. If Dame's really running the Corleone play, then the burden falls on him to show receipts, contracts, programming grids, air dates that can't be denied. Because once your enemies mock your paperwork, the Godfather aura collapses. Without real muscle behind the smoke, the Don image fades quick. That's why Cam and Mace's sharpest counter won't be a meme or a one-liner. It'll be a calendar. One solid, date-stamped contradiction, and Dame's big pathway to acquire flips from a power move into a Harlem punchline. Chapter 4. Plants the flag. Dame isn't just talking, he's spelling out the rules of the movie he swears he's starring in. Either he really pulls off the 5 families montage, programming live on Revolt, diss record dropping, paid in full episodes rolling out, or Cam and Mace flip his own metaphor against him. Harlem's locked in, waiting to see who walks away from this table with the last laugh. And here's the key detail about the film Dame thinks he's living in. He says real power ain't what you flash, it's what you don't owe. He repeats it like scripture. No debt, family office, do it all with your own money. That's the backbone of his Godfather doctrine. Because in his mind, if you owe nobody, nobody can force you to bow. Tie that philosophy to a media platform and you get Dame's thesis in one explosive line. Control the channel, control the myth. So when Dame crowns Cam Fredo, he's not just cracking jokes, he's issuing a coded Harlem warning. In the movie, Fredo's downfall wasn't that he was weak, it was that he confused being close to the throne with actually holding it, and Dame's daring Cam and Mace to prove they're Michael, not Fredo, to build something they truly own, not something they're renting from bigger bosses. Because if Dame's next chapter really lands, if his show actually airs on Revolt while Cam and Mace are stuck posting reaction clips, the metaphor locks in. And so does the stain. Harlem will remember it the way Dame framed it. And here's where it gets even messier. Dame doesn't dodge the math, he drags it right into the spotlight. He knows his past is heavy: lawsuits, liens, bankruptcy filings, and a tax bill big enough to sink most men. Dame doesn't frame this chapter like a confession, he calls it a reset. He swears you can't dig your way out of a $20 million hole by clocking in for paychecks. In his words, this wasn't about optics, it was about oxygen. When every launch gets smothered by lawsuits, the only way forward is to pause the courtroom battles and redirect energy back into building something that actually breathes. Listen close to his chain of logic, and it sounds like Harlem rhythm dropped on corporate paper. Investors hate smoke, lawsuits create smoke, and smoke kills deals, even when the cases are flimsy. He breaks it down. One person could file in multiple courts nationwide and force him to drop 6 figures just to swat legal flies. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. The filing itself gums up the works, clogs calendars, and drowns momentum. To Dame, bankruptcy wasn't collapse. It was the only way to clear the air. So the real question becomes, is bankruptcy taboo, or is it just another hustler's tool? Notice the shift in tone here. The Breakfast Club clash was showtime, but this part, it's arithmetic. Same Dame, different mic, less interruptions, more breakdowns. And he's drilling into hip-hop's oldest money debate: pride versus paper. Does it sting to say bankruptcy out loud? Of course. But does it restore freedom when lawyers keep bleeding your calendar? That's his angle. And Harlem knows he's flipping it into a wager. Judge me not on ego before the filing, judge me on execution after it. If the next scenes show budgets, episodes, and distribution instead of docket numbers, then the move retrofits from scandal into blueprint. From there, Dame turns survival into doctrine. His creed is bold and provocative. If a billionaire holds massive loans and I hold none, I've got more money than him. To Wall Street ears, that's upside down. Debt is leverage. Leverage fuels growth. But Dame flips it. Loans are leashes. Whoever funds you can yank, and whoever can yank you can make you bow. For Dame, the only permanent antidote is autonomy, and autonomy ain't cheap. This is where his Revolt talk links straight into the bankruptcy filing talk. That pathway to acquire line, it's not some casual flex, it's the centerpiece of his whole doctrine. If you own the pipeline, you don't have to beg for airtime. If you build the show yourself, you don't have to ask anyone for a look. Family office, not label. Your masters, not someone else's catalog. It's romantic, sure. It's risky, absolutely. But every time he repeats that line about debt, he's drawing a border around his identity. He'd rather fly smaller with no strings than balloon on borrowed helium. Still, here's the rub he never fully admits, and it's exactly where Cam and Mace are waiting for him: scale. Independent moves sound noble, but if you can't match what the network machine does for distribution, your whole philosophy only works if your content massively overperforms. And that's why Dame keeps hammering on promises, drops, documentaries, episodes, all set to air on a platform he claims he's locking down. If those projects land on schedule, his no-debt gospel transforms from sermon into receipts. But if they don't, that same doctrine flips into a vow his rivals will throw back in his face every single time they trend. Dame's too seasoned to leave a vacuum, though. He doesn't just talk about a diss track, he tees it up live in the room and introduces a record swinging at both 50 and Cam. It's spectacle. Part trolling, part Harlem time capsule, part warning shot. And the real message isn't just in the bars, it's in the posture. I'm not debating you, I'm narrating you. On the flip side, Cam and Mace aren't whispering, they're laughing out loud. They poke holes in Dame's chairman claim, clown the semantics, and dare him to back his sound bites with signatures. As long as his paperwork feels fuzzy, their strategy is easy. Keep it funny, keep it moving, and let the internet run wild in the comments. Dame's counter, flood the jokes with receipts, not memes, not clapbacks, deliverables, air dates, pilots, a full slate on the schedule. Because in this round, the winner is whoever drops the first indisputable proof. Cam with ownership paperwork or Dame with programming actually on the air. Whoever clocks in first wins by default. And that brings us full circle to the car. The image Dame refuses to let go. If the Big L night really went down the way he tells it, he's making one ruthless argument. Character under pressure predicts staying power in business. Cry in the car, fold in the deal. Keep your chin up through the sirens, keep your head up in the storm. That's Harlem logic, and that's the logic this whole beef is testing live in public. Because over the next few weeks, Harlem's going to treat the internet like that checkpoint. Who blinks first? Who flinches? And who keeps both hands locked steady on the wheel? Harlem doesn't hand out crowns, it snatches them. Dame says there were 3 bricks and no tears. Cam fires back, "You're not the boss of me." The scoreboard is brutal. A network is either yours or it isn't. A legend is either earned or it's edited. So when the next episode drops, one of 2 things will happen. Either Dame walks in with paperwork and trades backing him up, or Cam and Mace walk him right back out and slam the door behind him. Either way, somebody's story gets rewritten, and in Harlem, those edits, they last forever. So tell me, whose story do you believe? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, share this video with your people, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. Trust me, the storm ain't over yet. See you on the next one.